Hello. I think we are almost starting, so I would request everybody to be logged in so that we can be able to start. Where is the mic? Am I supposed to have a mic?
Professor Gitai? Professor Gitai? Hello? I think we are ready to start. Professor Gitai, I think there's a challenge with your yeah.
So I was saying, let's saying we get ready. We log into our link for the conference, and then I would request that we start up for the national anthem and the MUA anthem. I think that should be the first one. Kindly let's stand. Okay, let's stand for the national anthem. Bless this our land and nation. Justice be our shield and defender. May we dwell in unity, peace and liberty. Plenty before the us. The MUA anthem. In unity. Integrity, integrity, excellent integrity. That's what to that we believe. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Just us with the opening prayer. Can we please? Amen. Thank you, Tom Kawino. Not yet. Okay, let's. Today, I think and it's fine. Yeah, and as we wait for our program to be projected, briefly, let me say we are already, actually it is past 8 when we are supposed to do registration. But I believe since we registered yesterday, we can proceed to the next item, which is the delegates and invited guests to get seated. Arrival of chief guest, national anthem, that's we have done, and opening prayer. The next activity is actually recap of what transpired on day 1 of the conference. So I think we can get ready for that. Done by Dr. Machoka. Okay. As Dr. Machoka is preparing for the recap, the next presenter after the recap will be Dr. Joanne, who is the Dean School of Business, Mendiga Evers College, City University. Who will do the presentation on behalf of Tobin Larsen. So the rest, I think we will follow. So for now, let's have Dr. Machoka giving us the recap of yesterday's. Thank you.
Okay, good morning. Welcome to this session. I think we start off about yesterday's recap of what we did the whole of yesterday. early from start of the morning until late in the evening at around 10 for that there. I think we did a lot of work. We did a lot of presentations for keynote speakers, about 10 keynote speakers, and the several papers presented on breakout sessions. Today, I'm just going to recap up to keynote speakers because we want to make up a recap on during a session on what transpired in the various breakout sessions. That's the rules. Okay, I'll maybe check on the proceedings for yesterday's recap on specifically keynote speakers. This is our third international conference recap proceedings. The remark from Professor Kale and our DCC, Dr. John Chergate. Dr. Chergate at least delivered a speech on time management as a measure of success and organizational performance. The argument was that we don't make, at least you don't manage your time, you are likely not really to head anywhere. So at least you have to manage your time to make a sense. If it is going to be very costly to recover time lost. That was the essence, the message we are getting from the DVC's presentation. Prof. Okeyo, when presenting his speech, he argued that the 10th International Conference, since the conference was started in 2009 by our sponsor, which is KIM, later on taken over by the university in 2011. That's when we started at least conducting conference for university part. Usually, conferences are important forums for scholars and the exchange, in this case, of ideas and experience, as well as contribute to knowledge. Forums for scholars to interact and networking. In this case, knowledge and the skills we can gain from these conferences add value to at least our experiences and maybe development. Also, we wish participants food for the deliberations in the next 2 days. Also, it urged participants to come up with the solutions at the end of the conference. These was the remarks from the DVC, and then the remarks from John Chergate, our DVC. The next presenter was a keynote speech by Kinutu Amangi. Kinutu Amangi discussed the theme on conference, defining the terminologies on leadership, innovation, and sustainability. He went further and kind of discussed issues which have to do with leadership styles, innovations, and how we understand those areas. He also emphasized the 3 E's, that is economy, equality, and environment. And was further went further to discuss on different resource styles, which have to put in place, at least to develop ourselves as scholars, or maybe as professionals or leaders. That was a good remark from our keynote speaker, who was Kinutu Amangi. Then we went the next keynote speech by Edward Otindo, who is at least our chairman UGC. He welcomed delegates to the conference. He placed the partnership between the university and international partners, commended the leveraging of technology during the conference deliberations, also emphasized that the innovation should strive a balance around economic, social, and environmental issues. He went further to address combination of 3 elements which differentiates sustainable innovation from the traditional innovations. He also stressed there's a need for collectively integration and visibility. He also challenged maybe yet some kind of challenges which are kind of taken to sustainable innovations. And then he focused on resources, which is financial, human, and maybe facilities. Challenges also continue, which might be financial resources, some uncertainties which maybe come up with outcome, which are to come the risks involved, technology which changes rapidly. He also state government administration, regulatory framework, which are to put policies in place, at least on what we do, either especially on innovations. In case you have to come to IP to protect your works, that's concern about the legislation and maybe frameworks. Inadequate skilled manpower is a challenge. Maybe we don't have maybe capacity, we're not heading anywhere. Okay. What how we overcome the challenges? To do this, he made the following: cooperation and linkages are required for sustainable innovation, information dissemination through conferences such as this, organize forums for delegates to interact and share ideas, like our conference, encourage productive networks, and maybe collaborations. Those were the remarks from Edward Odundo, who is our UGC chair. Here we have stressed some challenges and maybe what are to do with the conference issues. Next keynote speaker, we heard from Prof. Satpathy, who is our professor from India. Prof talked about neuro leadership institute at MUA. In this case, we have to initiate a neuro leadership college or institute, which at least to aspire leadership per se. Also, I mentioned about the 6 Ws. Didn't kind of define those 6 Ws. Prof can at least maybe address those, what are the 6 Ws mentioned on his speech. Sorry. Also gave some genetical composition of individual being very unique, particularly the fingerprints. Maybe we're supposed to check on the same. Sorry, people are logging, so I have to interrupt my speech. He also talked about genetic allotment of African marathon runners, which I don't want to those other side. What they talked about yesterday. I also talked about TPF between commanders and servicemen in the military, trust, beliefs, and faith. I think he was talking about where it's come from, where I used to work previously as an army person. You also need to understand the psyche and the psychology of each person in the neuro leadership per se. That's what the key issues which are captured from Prof's presentation. Okay, sorry. My staff was hanged, so I have to. Just a minute, I removed something. Okay. Okay, the other keynote speech address was taken by Prof. Thorben. He talked about framing change management, which has to do with how we come up with a framework on change leadership. He discussed framing communication leadership. He illustrated his presentation with examples from respected global personalities and such as Nelson Mandela, when he was giving an inauguration speech during his presentation, maybe as a president. Other presenter was a guest speaker for Manov from Japan. From Manov, he talked about value add addition in manufacturing processes or industry. Prof was concerned on how we come up with models at least to improve production systems. That's what the message I guess I was getting from Manov. He discussed the value added manufacturing processes. He talked about profit vis-a-vis cost of labor. The organization existed to maximize profits. That's what the emphasis was getting. This got we have to get profit matching at the end of the day. High added value, maximize profits, maximize labor costs per person, share the several value and add models in manufacturing from different countries, per se from the tiger countries, that is the Eastern countries, the Asian countries. And they say that good and successful organizations outsource part of their non-core activities. In this case, you don't necessarily to deal with non-core of your business. You'll be wasting your time. That's what the message kind of Manov was putting across. That you concentrate on your core issues. If you are in manufacturing, please do manufacturing business. Things like cleaning, things like maybe maintenance is not your business, please take them away. Or maybe things like transportation, logistics, or maybe payroll, issues to do with things at least which necessarily, which are not your direct business. Those are which are fast non-core activities. Outsource those business so much so that you get your business going the proper direction. Manufacturers like cell phones, they're not involved in sales and marketing as opposed to countries like South Korea. So please outsource some of those business. The entire consumer chain varies from country to country. Also on a Manov presentation, it was kind of comparing which models can we make at least to move manufacturing processes or whatever endeavor you are in to make business better off. In this case, it triggered my mind to compare Manlow's model with the Michael Porter's model and also Peter Hines' model, which also have issues. There are people done research on the same, how to improve those models. And people critique some of those models from time to time. So on that note, I'll say, Manlow can also come with this model to put in maybe in literature, which we can use to maybe for study purposes. You can maybe refer to, maybe they are making their researches. That was a keynote address by Prof. Manlow from Japan. Another keynote speech was done by Prof. Kazuya Asaka from Japan. Prof reviewed the traditional Japanese business ethics towards sustainable global future. He traced the evolution of companies in Japan towards favorable global future. Impact of industries had impact on the environment in terms of pollution and diseases. The future of needs embrace very stringent ethical policies for sustainable development. He also said that the Japanese ethical practice with those of the rest of the world, like Kenya ethical issues, what are other African ethics vis-a-vis Japanese? Are we better off or Japanese are better off than us? That's what the message we are getting from his presentation. Okay, next was Prof. Toshi. Prof. Toshi gave a tool for change makers, which is a linguistic perspective. In this case, Prof. Toshi focused on change management. He traced his presentation to the inauguration speech of President Mandela. And again, we gave the issues which are important from his presentation, what the practical takeaways. Start to understand the frame that people bring in for change management. Frame a proposal that align people's interests. Also anchor your frame or your policy on your vision, and then place your frame in effective organization structure. Lastly, use alternative devices to integrate them to your side or to your business. Those are the key or the slides which get kind of triggered my mind to capture this presentation. And I think it's here, they can test what maybe I'm talking is the same story which I captured that presented yesterday. The other presenter was Sein Richie. Sein Richie will talk about food security in Japan. I only picked 2 points. The issue of food security in Japan, a local farming initiative is a concern. And also it stressed that, so that while we connect percentage of food security vis-a-vis the population, like we discovered in Japan, the larger population is on the old people, and then the young generation is very, very small. As opposed to African population, the African generation, the young, there are many than the old. Those were the issues kind of we are getting as kind of in comparison to the kind of food security we need in this country, the food security in Japan. Those were the presentation from Sein Richie. And then we went ahead to check on breakaways, which I don't want to go to. I don't want to go to breakaways discussions. I think I can stop there because this will be taken care of during the resolution time. Thank you for listening, and have at least a good presentation.
At this point, we have some I was saying at this point that around consultation in form of the and I think
Good morning. My name is Joanne Roll. I'm the Dean of the School of Business at Medgar Evers College, City University of New York. And it's indeed my pleasure to be with you here today. I am also the immediate past president of the HBCU Business Deans Roundtable and the vice president of the International Listening Center. All of those organizations I work with in order to do much of the work that we have done around the world. So what I will do now is to give you a little bit of background on what we plan to do this morning with a very brief presentation. The agenda is overall, I will give you an overview of a global wealth gap, central to the work that we have been doing, poverty and sustainable development goals, global technology disparities, and post-pandemic impacts, education and technology possibilities, collaborations and partnerships, entrepreneurial ecosystems worldwide, customized approaches to community-led co-created solutions, and conclusions and a call to action. So the global wealth gap. This is not a new topic. Actually, it is an old topic. The wealth gap and the income gap worldwide, globally, for Black and Brown people or those in the underserved areas has been with us for a very long time. However, of late, we've seen more abundance worldwide than we have ever seen before. However, that wealth, that income stream is being driven a lot by the emerging technologies, and there's a significant disparity to access to those technologies for those in underserved areas. Let's go back to our why. Our why was designed by the UN SDG Sustainable Development Goals. Number one in the world is the eradication of poverty. But we see that instead of getting closer to eradicating poverty, because of a lot of this technology-infused wealth or technology-derived wealth, we are seeing that instead of going in the direction of less poverty around the world, we are seeing more and more systemic and structural poverty. It's being driven by not just AI, but other emerging technologies that are following AI in digital networks. So this is the problem that we are addressing, the disparity caused by even more technology advancements. Post-pandemic, many people in the middle class lost their jobs. Many people in retail or any customer face-basing kind of business lost their opportunity. And in COVID, we saw that virtually we could become a virtual world. But who could participate in that virtual world? And how were we upskilling those who had left their jobs to do better in this brand new world that COVID and the pandemic created? Our education and its role, our educational system, let's be honest, has been the same for a very long time, decades, even longer than that, with the Socratic methods and other ways of just showing and telling. And what we are seeing now that we have to create a new kind of education that will empower the learner to learn as they learn how they learn. Some learners are autocratic or audio. Some learners are visual. Some learners can do well in self-paced, and some learners just need that faculty person, that guide, that sage to help them along. So we have many challenges facing our underserved areas surrounding regular issues around education, but even highlighted more with technology infused. And what I believe is that technology could be an equalizer, not the divider that we see. But if it has the potential of elevating education if we embrace it, having a technology in the classroom, having technology in the experiential learning. The emphasis is on capacity building among educators and contextual relevance of educational content for this new world that we are preparing our students and the rest of the workforce that's re-entering the workforce. Importance of cross-sector collaborations in leveraging technology for education. What we find is there is no one discipline, there is no one area that can solve these problems by themselves. We need to come together. And I'm going to say this, humanity needs to come together and understand how can we prepare a workforce and our students to be better prepared for what's going to be coming. And we don't even know some of the technologies that are going to be here 10 years from now, 15 years from now, which these students, which this workforce is still going to be in. So let me give you one example of a successful initiative that was different. One of the universities in Nigeria made themselves a hub. They went and had public-private partnerships to get the infrastructure for the university first, but then they open it up to smaller businesses and they open it up to the community so that the community could have a base for operations. I'll also give you a more domestic example of here in the U.S. The City University of New York is working with leading corporations to revamp some of the computer education such that instead of just regular interns, they have apprentices going into these businesses. And so at the end of their experience, they will not only have the academic concepts, but they would have worked in those businesses using some of those skills and be job ready, career ready as soon as they leave. So all kinds of ways that we can do things different. So let's talk about the entrepreneur in these ecosystems. So the role of the entrepreneur in the community is important and it's transformative. Small businesses in most economies are the real engines of those economies. So we can't leave them out, but can they afford the infrastructure? Can they afford to keep pace? The answer is no. We need supportive ecosystems to help foster local innovation and economic growth with our small businesses and our entrepreneurs. So because they will employ in those local communities the workforce that sometimes our larger corporations just don't have the bandwidth or the capacity or honestly the desire. The role of entrepreneurship in community transformation. I just talked to you a little bit about the role, the need for supportive ecosystems. Let's talk a little bit about the localized custom approaches. And here I want to take a minute just to talk about what we have had in the past. In the past, we have all of these folks who are policymakers and other officials. It's not just the policymakers. And they do a top-down approach. We say, we're going to go into this community and we're going to do this. And they spend a lot of money and a lot of time. And at the end, when we look at the outcomes, we say, well, did you achieve what you were supposed to achieve? Oops, we made a mistake. And that has been a story over and over. But why not, when you go into these economies, look at the different local customs, understand that every city has a heartbeat that is different. Technology could be an enabler of the change to meet community needs, but we must look at the community. And then not just to come up with a solution, but to emphasize co-creating community-led solutions with the community. Look at the data, understand the difference in the numbers by community, and then come up with solutions. A lot of times we look for someone else to do the transformation. Mahatma Gandhi said it best. Each one of us could be the change that we wish to see in the world. And so in conclusion, I want to leave you with this call to action. We all live in our own communities. What can we do to help the educators change? What can we do to help the small businessmen change? How could we invest in those small businesses that may have a little different higher price point because they don't have the scale of some of the larger companies? I won't mention the name, but we can support them because they support hiring in our communities. Get technology accessible to the small businesses, to the underserved educational institutions. What can we do in place? I want to encourage you in terms of the call to action. Stop looking around, waiting for someone else to do it. You be the change you seek to see in your area, in your time, in your lifetime. Thank you for listening to my presentation. I appreciate it, and I look forward to any feedback you may have on this matter. Thank you so much and enjoy.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Yeah. Can I present my paper? My voice is... So am I supposed to present my paper, sir?
You will be presenting, but later we will be able to communicate to you as soon as possible on when you are presenting.
Okay. Sure. Please.
Thank you.
All right. Professor Tobin was gracious enough to submit a paper on cybernetic economics, which is a new and upcoming field. And that too, he has modeled his study for the Sub-Sahara region. His study is based on a three-pronged approach. One is the strategic base, which experts in management can very well visualize. Then he has dwelt on the functional feedback Okay. As far as the data-based economic strategy for the Sub-Sahara access is concerned, he has given a bit of a demographic perspective. The population is about 1.150 million. I'm not sure which census data he's referring, must be the latest as per the available records. He specializes in the area of climatic change and global sustainability, innovation, and leadership. So the average global CO2 emission per capita is about 5 tons. The median is about 3 tons. And the largest industrialized countries in the world like UK, USA, France, Germany, Brazil, etc., they emit on an average about more than 10 tons of CO2 emission. So the Sub-Sahara circuit emits about 1 ton per capita. And the average global income per capita is only $10,000 US, with the median being $3,000. And last night we were discussing with the expert counterparts from Japan, 40% has less than $1,000 US per capita income. And the average growth rate, ladies and gentlemen, in the Sub-Sahara circuit has been only 4%, whereas the global development has been only 2%. This is a point that merits a debate. Next. Next slide. Over. Something else is there. Something else is here. Okay. Professor Turbin is of the view that infrastructure, primarily manufacturing sector, is crucial towards the growth of the economies in the Sub-Sahara axis. The general level of formal education is quite low. This is bothering because education is supposed to be one of the biggest pillars of leadership, innovation, sustainability, growth, and progress. But the best part is that the family ties in SSA is very strong. They enjoy a strong sociological order. So he proposes that the organization of management training is a crucial means, a crucial gadget towards mitigating the overall weaknesses in education. So along with infrastructural development, which is on the hard side, he has also proposed that we should have a soft side development, which is education, management, and training. And he has also very categorically told that we need to prevent, manage, and do away with corruption. Because corruption is a disease which is available, prevalent, and thriving, whether the economy is a low-income economy, middle-income economy, or a higher-income economy, whether it is a low-developing country, middle-developing country, or a developed country. So cybernetics as a common cognitive cultural platform is required. Why? As the previous speaker just pointed out, Professor Joanne Rowley, Dean, School of Business Studies, New York University, a change in the mindset is required. Unless there is a change in the mindset, no amount of budget, no amount of experts, no amount of collaboration, no amount of thinking, no amount of paperwork will work. A change in the mindset is required, and this change will come from cybernetic economics. How? Whatever computing you are doing, whatever economics, trade, commerce you are working out, the change has to come from within our own mind. And this has to be a cultural platform, and it should differ from what is observed today in big superpowers like USA and China. The main point that he hints is we should not blindly follow China or follow USA because they have got their own hidden agenda. For example, the road that we were coming this morning has been sponsored by China, isn't it? Why? Why did China build a road from Nairobi to Mombasa? What is there near Mombasa? Anyone? Yes. Why? Why did China build? Right. Now, he has given a small example which is quite self-explanatory. Suppose, in all climatic panel discussions, climatic conferences, climate management, UNO forum, everywhere, these big superpowers, they prescribe lots and lots and lots of formulas, methodologies, how to contain emission. But people forget that these are the countries who are contributing to the emission. For example, at any point of time, there are 7,000 aircrafts which are flying in the air at any point of time. And each aircraft emits 60 kilograms of carbon per hour. So per hour, the aircrafts are emitting 42,000 kilograms of carbon, CO2. So 42,000 kilograms of carbon emission is assured. Now multiply it by the number of planes that are flying at that point of time. It's a mind-boggling figure, and no amount of discussion can really contain climatic change because we have tinkered with the nature, and now nature is giving it back to us in the form of heat waves, heat zones, sea rise, tides, earthquakes, etc. Like in the legal language, they say, if you are so above the law is above you, isn't it? If you so tinker the nature, nature is going to tinker it. And you are the subject of that tinkering. All right. So this is a fact which he has projected about the US of A. And as far as USA, China, India, and the Sub-Saharan zone is concerned, see, over the last 20 years, China has undisputedly become the region's largest trading partner, including India, US, and SSA, Sub-Sahara. Why? Why? Because China wants to establish its business hegemony, that is big brotherhood attitude. And because of this, China has been facing some criticisms from the International Monetary Fund, the World Bank, and other financial fora. So, Professor Torben has calculated the quantum of money that is required at least to take care of the climate. And that is an approximation. You don't know how much money will be required. Can we really tame the environment? I presume no. And see, what is the beauty of Sub-Sahara region? This region is floating with a lot of rare materials, which is required for energy transition, including this patch of land. Kenya has got so much of minerals hidden in the earth. It can really be a leading player as far as energy management is concerned. I do not know because explorations are not taking place on that massive extent. I have a hunch. All deserts are floating on gypsum and uranium. I will not be surprised if the scientists of the world declare Kenya harboring in its belly uranium, plutonium, etc., etc. And the day this is discovered and forecast to the world, sir, all the big countries will start running to Kenya on their knees for tie-ups. Because plutonium, uranium, gypsum, and oil or natural gas, these rule the energy world of the world. These are the energy hotspots of the world. So please watch out. I have a big hunch Kenya will one day be declared as the mother of all these products. And that day, the world view towards Kenya and the identity of Kenya will undergo a 180-degree change, quantum deep change. Plus, we have in the Sub-Sahara zone core infrastructure, fine, that's okay. We have transport, warehouses, and other facilities. But remember, like the share market, any share that goes down, what is the worst point? 0. And after 0, what is the best point? 1. So anything that goes up has to come down in physics. But in trade and commerce, whatever goes down, it will come up. Any region which is poor, underdeveloped, low developed, low income today, the scope is magnificent. Whatever they do, it will add to the GDP, NNP, right? NNP is net national product. And tomorrow, if there is a sudden finding, suppose Kisaju has got a lot of diamond mines under the earth. After 5 years, Kisaju will no more be Kisaju. It will be full of apartments, infrastructure, the dusty road that we came for 2 kilometers. It will be a beautiful black metal top road. Infrastructure will increase. Companies will come. If somebody has gone to Penang, Malaysia, American companies have purchased lands for 99 years on the Penang port. The ships are landing there. So that is how economics, cyber economics, everything takes place. Look at the beautiful country of Africa. On the map, we have got gold, copper, iron, limestone, uranium, diamond, bauxite, and petroleum. What else do you want? Who on Mother Earth or who on this platform, this room, can stand up and say that we are underdeveloped. Who can say? Nobody can say. No critic of Mother Kenya can stand up and say that Kenya is poor. No. The only fact is that we have not been able to scientifically exploit all this. For that, what we require is technical know-how and human skill development and human expertise. That is what MU is sitting here for. Right? Look at the quantum of minerals that we have in Africa and Kenya. It can give a beautiful answer to the developing countries of the world, including India, China, Russia, Ukraine, and others who are fighting for land. On the mining, on the mining licenses, he has said that we need to contain the dictators, the corrupt administrators, and excessive inflation. Remember, there is a simple law in economics. Wherever there is corruption on the political front, the inflation will definitely grow. We were discussing this last evening on the dining table. So you need to control inflation by all means, whatever cost-cutting measures you do, whatever demonetization you do, and we need to take care of our economy. He has proposed to the Management University of Africa that we can initiate a course in cybernetic economics where there can be 4 modules. One is neuroeconomics, one is democratic economy, one is tripartite management on the 3P concept, that is profit, personnel, and planet. And 4th is we should have a very heavy test, because this is not normal management where you just answer 5 questions and take a degree and go home. No, because this is a new field and he wants real interested enthusiasts and experts. And before I conclude, ladies and gentlemen, he is the person who has initiated the Neuro Center in MUA yesterday, which we were speaking yesterday. We declared it yesterday, and today with the Deputy Vice Chancellor, Honorable Deputy Vice Chancellor, we have worked out the nitty-gritties. Everything is in order. He can be recognized today as the father of that center, and he has also promised that he's looking out for funds from industrialists, and he wants to capitalize, exploit, and enhance a neuro management wave in Africa, in Kenya, in Nairobi, with the epicenter being the MA. So that speaks a lot about his trust, faith, and belief on our university, on you, on I, on all of us. I think that's the end of our presentation.
Thank you, Prof. A clap again for Prof. Thank you. I think at this point we go straight to breakaway, and we are not going away. We are just seated aloud. It's only that we shift from this type of presentation and we go to the breakaway sessions, and we shall have Milka Wabua, Richard Murwa, John Masani Duko, and Joseph Matofali presenting at this point. Milka, welcome. Milka, are you in?
Yes.
Karibu.
Thank you. So I'm going to share my screen. So are you able to see my screen?
Yes, we can. We are seeing.
Okay. So I'm going to start with my introduction. My name is Milka Wambua. I'm a student from Egerton University, finishing up on my PhD. And my supervisors are Professor Richard Moore and Professor Joseph Matofare. And today I'm going to talk about the nutritional composition, safety and starch properties of cassava flour obtained from different varieties that are grown in Nakuru County. So as I go to my introduction, so just a brief introduction of what cassava is. Cassava is a root crop that has its origin from America, tropical America, also known as manioc, tapioca, or yucca in other regions. Cassava is the third largest source of food carbohydrates in the tropics after rice and maize. Cassava is also termed as a food security crop or even a climate smart crop. And this is because it is drought resistant. It can survive up to 400 millimeters of rainfall per year. It does well in poor soils where other crops are failed. The high yields of cassava is up to 80 metric tons per acre. This is very high compared to maybe maize or any other crop that we have. That is the fresh cassava tubers. It is flexible. After maturity, it can stay underground for 8 to 24 months without going bad, and this ensures food security. It also accommodates intercropping, like you can see on this photo. You can still grow maize and also grow cassava. And the versatility of cassava in terms of its utilization is wide. One, it can be used for food for humans. And in this case, you can process cassava into various products that are able to be consumed. It can also be used to make animal feeds, and it's also a raw material for industrial products like corn starch, alcoholic beverages, and also bioethanol that can be used for cooking. And what is the problem today? You find that despite the importance of cassava, Kenya is the least producer of cassava in the East Africa region, with less than 1 million metric tons in 2022, compared to Uganda, which produced 4 million metric tons, and Tanzania, which produced 8 million metric tons. And this I'm talking because cassava, as we have seen, it is a drought-resistant crop. And we know 80% of our region in Kenya is ASALs, that is the arid and semi-arid regions where cassava can really do well. So you wonder, why are we not growing it in bigger quantities? And research has shown also in Kenya, the yields of cassava are very low, that is 7 to 10 metric tons per acre, compared to the agronomic potential of this crop, which is 50 to 80 metric tons per acre of fresh cassava tubers. The demand for cassava is exceeding even to 200% in Kenya currently. And we are relying on importation from our neighboring countries, that is from Uganda. And sometimes even the quality of the cassava that you get from Uganda is wanting. And this high demand of cassava has caused cultivation even beyond the traditional cassava growing areas, and has gone even to Nakuru County, that is in Rift Valley. We know cassava traditionally has been grown in Western, Coastal, and Eastern. Western is the one that produces higher amounts of cassava at 60%. The Coast region provides 30%, and the Eastern region provides less than 10%. So what are the reasons for the low productivity of cassava in Kenya? One will attribute it to lack of clean planting materials that are disease-free. We know of the cassava mosaic disease that has maybe swiped away our cassava. The second one is lack of varieties or cultivars that are region-specific. You find farmers just grow cassava wherever, you just find a seed and you grow. You don't know if it is suitable for that specific region or not. We have weak regulatory framework. You know that our government is not so much pushy on the product or the cultivation of cassava in Kenya, as opposed to Nigeria, where the government has really put strict measures to ensure that cassava is grown in large quantities. Then we attribute it also to lack of knowledge about the potential of cassava. These two photos you can see here, I took them from my mother's farm. And on one side, you find cassava is really doing well. On the other side, you find maize is drying up. Then I was asking my mother, why don't you grow more of the cassava? Because she had like 2 or 3 trees or stands of cassava, while most of the part of the land she had allocated it for maize. So I was asking, and sometimes they don't even have the answer to that. But I think we lack the knowledge or the potential of cassava as a food security crop or industrial raw material. Also, there is lack of value addition because many people have associated cassava being boring because most of us, we consume it as just boiled. But there is a lot of value addition we can do to cassava that can give good products that can be loved by many people. Then the culture. We all associate cassava as a poor man's food, and that makes us to maybe deter ourselves from eating. But I always question, what is the major source of, what is the major component of cassava, which is the carbohydrate? Even in our case, when it's with other things that will give us either protein and also other nutrients that are required in the body. So the objectives of this study that we did, one was to harness the opportunities. The general objective is to harness opportunities for food and nutrition security and entrepreneurship. As I've said, cassava can be converted into industrial raw materials that can be used even for businesses. And the specific objective for this one, because we have introduced cassava in Nakuru County, we wanted to see and select the best suitable varieties for Nakuru County based on the yields, the dry matter content, the cyanide we want, because one of the issues with cassava is the cyanide content and the cyanide poisoning, and many people are wary about consuming cassava. So these varieties that we introduced in Nakuru County are termed as sweet varieties that are low in cyanides. But one of the objectives was to certify that really these varieties are low in cyanide. The other one was also disease resistant so that we can ensure maximum yield. The second one was to analyze the nutritional, the anti-nutritional properties and starch properties of the cassava flour from 10 selected cassava varieties in Nakuru County. So into our methodology, we selected all we selected 27 disease-free cassava varieties that were grown from Western Kenya, coastal region, that is in Migori, Busia, Kakamega, Kisumu, and 3 sub-counties in Nakuru County, that is Ronkai, sub-county, Subukia, and Njoro. These sites were selected because they are non-arid and semi-arid pockets within the high potential Nakuru County. And we harvested our cassava at 12 months after planting, and we took the total number of roots and the weight of the roots to calculate the yields. Then cassava was transported to the lab for further analysis. The starch or the flour was extracted using that method, and also we did the approximate analysis. So when we go to the results, before me is the table for the yields. We can see actually cassava in one of the locations surpassed even what the literature said that the potential is between 50 to 80. We had even 200 tons per acre in one of the region that is the Subukia region. We had even up to even others are recording 180. But we realized that also the location also matters. You can see in Njoro, you find the yields were a bit low, but they were not low because even the potential of cassava, the literature that we get the potential of cassava, or what has been recorded in our country is less than what we got for the lowest, that is the Njoro region. When you go to the dry matter content, why we are measuring the dry matter content, because it's directly related to the starch yields. So we expect when the dry matter content is high, so the starch will also be high. Remember, if it is in the starch industry, you're looking for a variety that is high yielding in terms of the dry matter and also the starch. So we find that the region that actually recorded the highest yield by the dry matter content was low. That means most of the cassava was water, but we realized the other location, that is Solai, recorded very high dry matter content, up to even 62 in one of the varieties, as you can see. When we come to the cyanide content, as I mentioned, that these varieties that we introduced were sweet varieties. So even when it came to the cyanide, they were generally low, but also we realized that also location affects the content of the cyanide. Like the one in Lare, you realize there were some which had higher, that is the 13 to 12 and 16%. WHO and FAO has given us minimum or the maximum amount of cyanide that needs to be consumed to avoid the poisoning of cyanide, and that is 10 milligrams per kg. So just few of them surpass that, but remember this is the fresh root. But we know the nature of cyanide is that when you dry it or you expose it to air, it is volatile. So we expect when you dry, even the content goes lower. The approximate composition of the cassava flour. Of course, cassava is not, we know it's not high in protein, but you can see in some varieties there was 5.10% protein. But in this case, the literature tells us that the protein content or the amino acid profiling of cassava is not that good. So it won't provide us with the most important, that is the essential amino acid. So we still need to supplement it with other sources of protein. But the carbohydrates was high, up to 88.5%. So that shows that cassava is majorly a source of carbohydrates as compared to other nutrients. When we came to the cyanide in the cassava flour, as we looked at the fresh roots, we found that they were low in cyanide. So we expect also the flour to be low in cyanide, and all of them recorded cyanide levels that were less than 10 milligrams per kg. The phytate content, phytate is one of the anti-nutrients that binds with zinc, calcium, and iron, and making it not available to the body. So in this case, we realized the phytate content was very high, and it ranged from around 10 milligrams per 100 grams to almost 110 milligrams per 100 grams. So this is one of the anti-nutrients that we should be careful about. But again, I've said that cassava, we cannot consume it alone. We need it to supplement it with other sources of maybe protein, so that we can cover that gap. And by the time we do that, like for example, we also had milk in our nutrition, then you also cover the issue of the mineral bioavailability, because milk has some calcium, some zinc, and iron. So it will not be an issue really. When it came to the starch properties, one of the interesting phenomena about cassava is that when you consume a cassava-based product, you feel full or you don't feel hungry very fast. So I was interested to study that and see maybe what is it that is contributing to this phenomenon. But I know that this can only be found in the starch, because 80% to 90% of the cassava is the starch. So I looked at the components of starch based on the digestibility. I looked at the rapidly digestible starch, the slowly digestible starch, the total digestible starch, and the persistent starch. In this study, we found that the majority part, that is accounting to even 43%, is the slowly digestible starch. This starch is the type of starch that when you consume a meal, then the glucose or the digestion the digestion is slowly, and the release of the glucose to the blood is slowly, and that's why it makes you full for such a long time. The rapidly digestible starch was also there. 30% of it was the rapidly digestible starch, and that is the starch that after you consume a meal, within 20 minutes, it starts to be released into the body stream, into the bloodstream, and that explained my question. Also, the total digestible starch we see when you consume cassava, then 87.4% of the total starch will be easily digestible. So this shows that cassava is a very good source of energy that we can embrace. When it comes to the resistant starch, just from the name resistant, we know it resists digestion. So that means it passes through the stomach to the small intestines to the large intestine. And in the large intestines, we find there are microorganisms that are beneficial to us that will ferment this resistant starch and produce some short chain fatty acids that are beneficial to us. It has been linked to helping us not to develop cancer issues. And the concentration was around 7, the highest was 7.23%, and the average was 5.5. So that it may seem to be small, but it's still enough for the body. I also did a hierarchical cluster analysis of the cassava varieties. We are dealing with 10 varieties. So I was looking at the nutritional aspect of it from the different varieties. Is there some similarities in the varieties? Could these varieties be similar to each other, and maybe it could help us in future when we are doing more manipulation, or we are doing genetic something to just improve on the varieties? What could be the issues or the components that we'll be looking at? And we realized that there were 3 or 4 clusters of the varieties. Number 2 is the Adhiambo Lera variety that had its own unique properties. Then number 6 was MM99/0072 that also has its own unique properties. Then we have number 3, that is KME1, that has also its own unique properties. But we realize the remaining 7 add some similarities when it comes to the nutritional profile. So on to my discussion and conclusion. I would say that with Subukia reporting high yields of up to 200 metric tons per acre, then the dry matter content was also affected by location, but also it was highest. We have very high dry matter content up to 62. That means less than 40% is the water. So we can get value for our money when we invest in cassava. Then the cyanide content was relatively low, indicating the varieties were safe for consumption, so we should not be worried. Then the low moisture content ensured product stability. This is for the flour. It had very low moisture content, because usually we are advised to have our flours at 13–14% moisture content. But in this case, if you look at our approximate, you find the moisture content was very low, even up to 4.22%. So that means our product will be stable for a long time. Then the other one, variation in protein and fat in the cassava varieties shows the importance of enrichment in formulating our nutritionally balanced, just to ensure that our food is balanced. Then the high carbohydrate content highlights the cassava potential as an energy-dense food, contributing to efforts against food insecurity. Then the safe cyanide levels, of course, is a characteristic of switch varieties that ensure the safety of the studied cassava varieties. Then the variable phytates also is a worry, but it's not an issue so long as we do our proper dietary planning to ensure that all the minerals that we consume are available. Also, of course, the rapidly digestible starch and the SGS and the RS, that is the resistance starch, suggests the influence of genetic factors, environmental factors, and also the processing methods. The presence of resistant starch in cassava offers potential benefits, as that is of promoting beneficial gut bacteria and improving our gut health. The hierarchical cluster analysis also showed us we can maybe group our varieties into distinct clusters, and this will be helpful when we do genetic maybe breeding for improved cassava varieties with desirable nutritional attributes. So thank you for listening to me. These are some of the things that we've been able to do after now, because cassava was new in Nakuru. We needed to do some value addition and also train our farmers on how to process cassava so that they can ensure maximum yield for, and also to ensure they can add value to their product. These are some of the photos that we took. This is the cassava after harvesting. We have this equipment that we use for processing the cassava so that we can get the grated cassava. And here we sun-dry our cassava in a greenhouse to ensure there is no contamination. Then we package it. Then this one, you can take it to the milling so that you can get your flour. This is now the community action part, where we engage with our farmers to train them on the various things. These are some of the students that we go with. These are US-based students who came for an exchange program. Those are some of the products that we make. We are training our farmers. After you have to do a bit of a business, you can, using your flour, you can make cakes, you can make mandazis that you can sell. And the amazing thing is the ratio of cassava to the wheat, because we know cassava doesn't have the protein that is the gluten that we use for baking. But can you imagine these mandazis are made out of more than 75% of the cassava flour, while the 25% is the wheat flour. So the issues that we are facing in our nation of the highest importation of wheat from Russia, the issue of Russia and Ukraine, you can see we can solve our issues with the locally available materials. Those are most of the, also more of the products that we make. Actually, this you see on this side, the cassava donuts that we make with 100% cassava flour. So this one doesn't have any wheat. So this shows the potential of cassava in baking industry. And I think it's a good thing that we could embrace as a nation, that we can use, and we supplement it with what we import from other places. These, of course, are cakes from cassava. And to sensitize or to disseminate this information, we've been able to do various activities. And one in these years, we began 2024, we organized a Cassava Cook Fest that was held in Egerton University. We invited farmers, we invited people from the Ministry of Agriculture, we invited the local community so that they can come and see the potential in cassava and embrace it even in their farming. So thank you for listening.
Thank you so much. From there, let's go to Sahu. If you are ready, please give us your presentation.
A very good afternoon. So can you just close the slide so that I can share my PPT? Yes. So is it visible to everyone? Hello?
Yes, it is visible.
Yeah. My topic is the imperative of sustainable leadership, a conceptual framework. In today's scenario, we will be talking about the sustainability kinds of leadership. So let's see, and my student, Mr. Shubham Saurabh, is also the part of these presentations. We all are discussing about the sustainability, the kinds of environmental protection, and in what way really the leader should be so proactive to face all kinds of challenges. So while we are talking about this sustainability, I think that we in today's world having an eco-centric system and to have that long-term mindset, we must have certain kinds of leadership which can actually transform from this traditional leadership to this sustainable leadership. Because in traditional leadership, as it is shown here, from great man theory to trait theory, behavioral theory, and contingency theory, everyone is looking about the economic aspects as well as also the situational aspect. But when we are really actually looking about the digitalizations, the environmental protection, the climate change, the environmental more actually sustainability, and also lots of limited resources and social inequalities there. So sustainable leadership is much more relevant in today's world, because sustainable style of leadership really actually has arisen in the amid of mounting the global challenges, prioritizing the visionary thinking and empathy and resilience and collaboration and innovation to address climate and environmental and social change or social issues. So how can actually we can think about the bigger environmental issues? So that sustainable mindset, it is required in today's era. While we are going through the crisis, we are going through lots of challenges. And in that aspect also, we need to looking about the changing perspective. It requires certain kinds of system thinking, as Professor Satpathy also mentioned about the mindset is very important. How we can focus on long-term orientations where system thinking in our brain, and we are really looking about the holistic perspective, and in what way we can establish a cross-boundary leadership network, and we can handle and tackle lots of that kinds of our cultural and environmental problem. And today's world is also believing in relationship and networking. So what kinds of relationship and networking we should actually focus, so that we can actually more actually going with these continuous kinds of sustainable relationship, that should be very, we can say, the long-term relationship. It should not be short-term relationship, and it is not with the shareholder or only the stakeholder, but the ground roots of that society. We should be connected and understand their environmental issues, and always we have that kinds of proactive attitudes, how the continuous development of the community can be looked out in that aspect. So that's why always this sustainable leadership, they exercise influence without that kinds of authority, always, because generally we know that if we are on the position or we are in the titles, then only we can really bring any change. No, change doesn't actually bring with the positions, power and authority. But yes, if we have that sustainable kinds of influence, where we are more concerned and sensitive towards the environmental issues, and our visionary thinking is more on the future's harmonious growth of the environment and society, then only it can be possible. And second aspect also, in this sustainable leadership, we are talking about the empathy. By empathizing different perspective, how we can listen to the people, how we can actually understand and sensitize about that people's issues, that is much more important rather than looking about that kinds of very a micro aspect. Then third aspect is the resilience. Yes, sustainability, actually the leader always faces lots of that kinds of challenges and the problems, and that's why this resilient enables the leaders to respond effectively to crisis and mitigate that risks and maintain momentum towards the sustainable goal despite of all kinds of hurdles, obstacles and setbacks. And the fourth aspect is the collaboration, because sustainable leaders always believes in partnership and collaboration. It fosters the partnership with stakeholders across different sectors. As I mentioned you, not only the kinds of NGOs or the environmentals, agency like socioeconomic factor, but also the government, academician, private sector co-create more innovative solution and drive collective actions for sustainable development. And the last part is, which is very, very important, because we are really moving towards from these environmental aspects to more digitalized aspect. And in that way, we sustainable leaders always foster a culture of innovation within their organization and encouraging employees to explore sustainable technology, business model and practices that drive positive change. And in today's world, we are harnessing AI, which is very, very important, and integrating this AI with sustainable leadership offers the real change, real transformation, because it explores their energy level as well as synergy level in advocating as well as advancing organizational success and societal well-being. Because sustainability is not only with the environmental issues, but also we need to look about the holistic well-beings and the happiness of the community. So that's why if we are looking about the left side, the potential strategic implication of AI, which is that guiding force for right now for this sustainable strategy, or it empowers the staffs or employees to encourage more innovation and collaboration. It fosters ongoing optimization and supports the sustainability strategic refinement, as well as also it ensures the transparency and fairness, accountability, and mitigate potential biases as well as that stereotypes. But also in the same way, we need that kinds of strategic leader who can have the impact on, like, to integrate AI where adaptability change can be possible, optimization of resources can be possible, enhance social responsibility, and also streamline the process. Sharing of information should be larger way, and it talks more on the ethics and risk mitigations, so that our result could be AI with sustainable leadership optimizes resources and minimizes waste, which is one of that, the call of the nature. This is that call of that day. AI identifies the inefficiency and reduces resource consumptions, and sustainable leaders also can be actually integrated in that aspect where it mitigates the environmental footprint effectively. AI analyzes the social data, guides impactful initiative where it enhances the social responsibility, and it streamlines operation and reduces the bureaucracy as well as all kinds of formalities and supports more sustainable growth. And AI with sustainable leadership is more data-driven, where we can bring more insight, more information, and we can take the holistic decisions, sustainable decisions for the organization as well as for the environment and community. And AI tailors the strategy, promotes eco-friendly behaviors, and foster community engagement effectively. And that's why the integration of AI with sustainable leadership offers transformative potential, optimizing resource allocation and enhancing social responsibility and fostering adaptability, so that simultaneously we can prioritize the ethics as well as innovations and also navigate the complexity, achieving long-term success while advancing the sustainable kinds of growth. So this is my key takeaway and future recommendations. We sustainable leaders most focused on evolutions of these theories as well as sustainability and how to integrate AI with the ethical consideration and more adaptability towards the environmental change factor. And future recommendation, we can actually sustainable leadership with harnessing AI would be the one continuous research, and what could be the ethical guidelines we need to find out, and what could be the training modules as well as development workshop we can promote for these employees as well as people, and in what way we can collaborate and partner with different stakeholders. Thank you. I think I have finished my presentation. If you have any kinds of question, you may ask. Hello.
Thank you so much, Dr. Carpano, for that wonderful presentation. I did not know that we could have sustainable leadership, yet we have business failures. I know quite a number of participants may have some questions to ask. but I request that we hold on until we have the last presentation under this session. I am also aware that the previous presentation on cassava also allows a lot of interest. For example, it was based in Nakuru, and I know cassava are also elsewhere, and therefore the residents of those other places may have some issues like, what about the cassava? Is it similar? So without talking much, let's have the next presenter. Hello, can you hear me? Yeah, let's have the next presenter is Dr. Latanya Scholastica. Dr. Lantana, please. What's this? Latanya, are you in? Latanya, are you in? Okay. Latanya, please unmute. I hear you have muted yourself. Unmute so that we can communicate.
Yes, I'm in, and you have my slides. Okay. I sent my PPT kindly. Can I have it shared?
Are you able to share from there?
Let me try.
Okay.
Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can see.
Okay, thank you.
Proceed, please.
Thank you. My name is Scholastica Ratanya from Technical University of Mombasa. I'm going to make a very brief presentation. And what I'm presenting about is antecedents of leader-member exchange relationships and the performance of PWD's institutions. And what made me come up with this idea, or maybe what made me seek this particular study, it was because during that December, during the International Day of Persons with Disabilities, findings still showed that the persons living with disability still need to be included in leadership. And we find that sometimes most of the leaders are not very keen in terms of what they provide in terms of engaging these individuals. And as we know, it is important for leadership to provide some drive and also try as much as possible to change the culture within the organization so that once they set the tone and also ensure that there is a culture of inclusion, we are able to find that those living in disability, whichever organizations that they come from, they are able to feel appreciated and they're able to feel they have a chance and they are able to provide the best that they can within the organization. So one of the issues in terms of background was that previous studies found that there were indeed leadership studies in the world today, but we find that a lot of these leaders required to have certain characteristics so that they are able to ensure that they provide the best they can in terms of leadership. And I used certain theories to find out this. And one of the theories was social exchange theory. I also had transformational theory. And in Kenya, we realized that we have an institution that is able to cater for those living with disability, the National Council for Persons Living with Disabilities, which was established with the mandate of championing the rights and equity in provisions of opportunities for persons with disabilities at both the national, maybe at the national, regional, and also international levels. And this was enacted in 2003 under Act number 14. Now, this council is anchored in some governmental ministries and agencies for persons living with disabilities. And during its launch, its strategic plan 2018-2022, one of the key aspects was to ensure that the capacity for effective and efficient service delivery was factored in, which would focus on the human resource management function. Remember, these are all managers. And there was also need for capacity building and more leadership training programs, which are very key for the people living with disabilities. And some of these would also be leaders to ensure that they are able to enforce efforts in enabling management to employ people with disabilities. You agree with me that in Kenya here, whenever any advertisement is made, we always have a caption at the bottom stating that women and those living with disabilities are required to apply. Now, the problem statement here was that people working in the with disabilities have a right to be treated like any other employees. And Hivi and friends or others were able to agree that indeed it was important for leaders to ensure that they include all, including those living with disabilities, so that they are able to ensure that they do the work that is expected of them. So my study was focused on the leader characteristics expected of leaders to ensure that they are able to do their work well, be able to ensure that they are able to serve the community very well, notwithstanding the people living with disabilities. So the study was guided by two hypotheses here. One was that there was no significant relationship between leader characteristics and organization performance. And also there was a moderator where we were able to see whether there was any leader characteristics and whether it moderated leader characteristics and enhanced organizational performance. The study of this purpose was to establish the feasibility of the area under study. Remember, the topic clearly indicated it was a pilot study, and therefore I needed to solicit further funds to ensure that I'm able to do a larger study so that I'm able to determine even the suitability of the methodology used. The study also intended to facilitate in soliciting of these funds, as you said, and also provide significant information on whether to carry out an actual study in future. The scope of the study, I use lower level managers and employees in the PWD institutions, and the study targets 4 PWD institutions, which were located in Mombasa and Kilifi counties. Out of these 4 institutions, we'd simply get 2 of the members from each of these 4 institutions. Remember, it is a pilot study, and hence the sample size for the pilot was lower. So how would this study be able to help this our environment? The government would be able to benefit by upping their game to ensuring that you have appropriate policies that are applied in all ministries and government agencies to ensure that even those living PWDs have good relationships with their leaders, and also to ensure that when employing leaders, CEOs, managers, would ensure that these people possess certain leader characteristics that, of course, are appropriate to ensure that they are able to provide LMX relationships at the place of work. And also those living with disabilities will also be able to understand the various strategies on collaboration with their counterparts at the place of work so that, of course, they don't feel discriminated and of course, ensure that they are able to achieve their goals within the organization. So transformation leader characteristics was one of the key independent variables for the study. And this one focuses on transformational leadership as one of the key measures of leader characteristics. And this empowers followers to achieve positive change through inspiration and individualized orientation. Menton 2020 says that leaders tackle change through connecting emotionally with their followers. And I'm sure you all agree with me that this is very important. When we connect with the followers, despite the fact that they are facing certain challenges, with a bid to help them achieve some desired goals. And in turn, the followers often acknowledge positive leader characteristics as transformational leaders. It is often said that I'll be able to tell whether a leader is good. If you want to tell whether a leader is good, always visit or see the followers, and they'll be able to tell you that this person was actually appropriate or was able to maybe show good characteristics to them. Another significance was that this study would expose the need for worthwhile characteristics of a leader by showing the need to harmonize behavioral characteristics. Yeah, this is a study done by Kuvas and Boch, who came up, of course, with ways to ensure that they were able to enhance, leaders can be able to enhance work performance from the individual employees or the followers. The conceptual framework was simply tackling on one independent variable, that is a transformational leadership, as a key antecedent of leader-member relationships. And we measured the transformational leadership by extraversion and consensus orientation. And we had a moderator of organization culture, which was able to boost performance in an organization. Remember, as much as we even have positive leader characteristics in organizations, you might find out that sometimes you may have a negative culture, in an organization. And hence, as much as you have better leaders, you may not really contribute to better organizational performance. The methodology that was used was descriptive, and the target population was employees in PWD institutions. As I mentioned that there were 4 of them in both Mombasa and Kilifi counties. Yeah, that should be counties. And the unit of observation was 4 PWD institutions. And you're also able to target the middle and lower level managers within the organization. We actually used 2 questionnaires, and we used stratified sampling and random sampling to be able to derive our sample size. And this study was carried out in November 2023 during the working hours. And we used structured questionnaires, whereby we were able to issue them to the participants. And reminders were also sent to these particular participants so that you can ensure that you had a higher response rate. One of the major, in my document, you have quite a number of discussions, conclusions, and recommendations, but I was only able to pick the most significant ones. And you realize that through LMX, it is a very high individual insight for leaders to ensure that they're able to impart on the people they lead, and to ensure that they are also able to provide value leadership to them. And the leaders who seek to embrace positive leader characteristics often emerge successful in their leadership endeavors, but of course, without using guesswork, to ensure that they're able to have positive leadership outcomes. The study also revealed that organizational culture was very important, was very key to ensure that there is consistency on ensuring that we are able to have better or good leader characteristics, so that you can ensure that you include all in our leadership ways. And noting that one of my studies of 2019 was that it is very important to identify conceptual skills of leaders contributed to ensure that there is better performance in organizations, so that even when coming up with our policies, you are able to ensure that we factor the same leader characteristics in whatever aspects that you want to engage in. Some of the few findings that the study came up with was that 35 of the questionnaires were given to the respondents. Yeah, we had quite a good response rate of 73%, and the reliability was very good because all these had a value of 0.7. All the 2 variables had a value of more than 0.7, and therefore it showed that there was no selection bias that was noted. Results again clearly indicates that there was indeed a significant finding that leader characteristics actually had an impact on organizational performance, and therefore the null hypothesis was rejected, and we adopted of course, the hypothesis that leader characteristics had a positive effect on organizational performance. One of the conclusions was that high individual insight in leaders impact people to lead virtuous lives, and this was able to ensure that a good organizational culture was able to provide to boost leader characteristics within organizations. And the last conclusion was that leaders who seek to embrace positive leader characteristics often emerge successful in their leader endeavors, including other leadership outcomes. Leaders also need to pay close attention to sustain a harmonious relationship with their followers due to the current modern competitive environment, and this enhances the overall leader-member characteristics within an organization. And it was also very important to understand that even for these particular followers, it was also important to provide education to them. And this can be a government initiative with its ministries and agencies to ensure that there is good PWD mainstreaming within the organizations, and to ensure that they have specific leader practices and they understand them so that they can help them build better leader-member relationships within organizations. And also empowering employees is very key because when employees are aware of the leader's characteristics, they would help them to adjust the interaction with such relationships. And this, of course, includes fostering an environment of open communication and actively seeking input from employees with disabilities. When you empower them, these individuals are able to unleash their positive potential and hence improve organizational performance. It was also very important to note that leader characteristics is an operative model mentorship in organizations. And leadership must hold others accountable for disability inclusion efforts. And I'm sure you've also seen this in our public institutions, whereby it is also very important for us to be accountable when integrating metrics and goals related to disability inclusion to ensure that there is better performance within the organization. So by making disability inclusion a measurable objective, leaders demonstrate its importance and encourage others to actively contribute to the organization's inclusive culture. And finally, maybe as a conclusion, it is important to note that leadership plays a pivotal role in driving disability inclusion within organizations. And by setting the tone, fostering a culture of inclusion and advocating for accessibility in terms of educating these people living with disabilities, we are able to hold others accountable and also build better partnerships in leader-member relationships. Yeah, and there was a gap on this particular study because the study was only conducted on only based on leader characteristics, and further studies will be done on finding out whether also follower characteristics have any impact on organizational performance, so that you can also be able to find out, do these PWD individuals or employees, should they possess any follower characteristics for there to be better LMX relationships and hence increase organizational performance. Some funding was given by the university where I work, and also I would wish to acknowledge the same university because of its own library resources, and also the Kilifi and also Mombasa counties for facilitating data. Thank you.
Wow. I tell you, we are in a management university of Africa, and I think we are learning, and we are learning seriously. Thank you, Dr. Skorastika. I know members are really waiting for that chance to contribute and ask some few questions, but time not yet. Let's have the next speaker. We are almost through. And this time we have Dr. Amit Mitra, Vice Chancellor, Research Programs, Chitkara University, Punjab, India. So if you are in, please, the floor is yours. Dr. Amit, are you in?
Yes, sir. Yes, Professor. He's right here. Allow him a minute. There's some technical glitch, I guess.
Doc, are we waiting for you to project?
No, Professor, he's right here.
Okay, please do.
Good morning, Kenya time. Good morning, India time.
Good morning.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning to all the participants and the organizing team. Am I audible?
Yes, sir,
Yes,
you
we
are.
are hearing you.
Okay, fine. Yes, okay. So you want me to start my presentation immediately? Hello?
Yeah, you can present anyhow so long as we communicate. There's no problem.
Okay, so you want me to present. Okay, all right. So first, I would like to thank your Vice Chancellor, Dr. Washington, for this invitation. And a special thank to Daisy. Daisy had made this possible. She connected me with the Vice Chancellor, Professor Washington. So I have the theme of your conference is on leadership. It talks about leadership, innovation, and sustainability. So we have an ongoing research, which is positioned around these three concepts of leadership, innovation, and sustainability. And the context of my study is startups. I hope everybody understands, because maybe from one geographical area to another, you may be using different terminologies, but I would tend to believe that the term startup is popular in Kenya as well, with a lot of similarities between India and Kenya. So I have this presentation, which I would like to share now. So you will have to give me the screen sharing rights.
I think you can share.
It mentions you cannot start sharing while the other participant is sharing. That's what it says.
I think Dr. Atanya needs to pull down her presentation because
That's
it's
right.
not.
That's right.
Yes.
That's right.
All right, a minute. Latanya, please remove your stop sharing so that we can be able to share from this other side. Latanya, Daktari, please, and remove the sharing. Latanya, Kaidre, if you are hearing, stop sharing.
The sharing has been stopped.
Yes, it is stopped now. So I hope my presentation is visible.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So the topic of my presentation is success and failures of technology-based startups. And the startup scene in India is very, very vibrant. In fact, I spent a couple of years in Kenya, and I know Kenyans, very much like Indians, are also very entrepreneurial. They're very entrepreneurial in nature. So by our very characteristics, our DNA is about entrepreneurship. So I think this topic should be very relevant to the Kenyan context as well. And so we are looking at different constructs, and I would be hypothesizing the relationship between different constructs. So we have a conceptual model, which I would be sharing towards the end of my presentation. So I would, to begin with, let us get into some of the conceptualization part. So in terms of the context, India is home to the third largest number of technology unicorns globally. So when I use the term unicorn, I'm referring to enterprises, startups, companies which have a valuation of $1 billion US. Okay. And so we're just behind the US and China. And unfortunately, if you look at this particular slide, you will see that the failure rates of startups is extremely high. 95% they fall short of meeting the projection sales or revenue. 80% of startups globally, they do not see a return on investment even in the long run. And almost 40% get liquidated or they go bankrupt. And what we believe is that 99% or the main reason for this failure is lack of planning and experience. This is some data from 2022. We do not yet have access to data from 2023. It will take some time for that to be compiled, but I think the story remains the same. The number of failures in startups is extremely and very disproportionately high. Now, these are the three theories that I would like to mention here, and something that any researcher who is right now a part of this conference, a part of this particular session should be noting down. And these are very relevant. These are some very old theories, but they are still very relevant even today. So first is disruptive innovation, which was given by Christensen in 1995. Then Theodore Levitt, the marketing guru, he spoke about marketing myopia in the 1960s, and it still remains very relevant even after more than 50 years, more than half a century. And then you have creative destruction by Joseph Schumpeter. Again, this theory remains very relevant. The basics are still the same. So these are the three theories in which I'm grounding my study. The conceptual model would be grounded in these three theories. I will just describe these theories very briefly in the next slide. So disruptive innovation is where you have a new innovation coming. So innovation can be classified as incremental or radical, broadly speaking. There are various ways of classifying innovation, but the two broad categorizations could be in terms of an innovation being either radical or a major innovation, and the second is an innovation which is incremental in nature, step by step, small bits of innovation. But disruptive innovation is where you have an innovation and it creates an entirely new market for a new product category or a new product class. Very similar to smartphones. When they came into the market, they created a new category entirely, which didn't exist earlier. And as we all know, smartphones have displaced so many products that we used to otherwise have in our houses. Like a small example is a small table alarm clock that used to have at your bedside. So that has disappeared because your smartphone is everything. It's even your small television for you now. So we can see because of smartphones, new improved technology, lower costs of data, we're also seeing that the color television, the LED color television is now, the sales have gone down. So disruptive innovation is where you create an entire new product category in a new market. Creative destruction is not something that is new, but what it says is that if an enterprise doesn't creatively destroy its own products and services, then somebody else will come and do it, and that is going to hurt. So you'll find a majority of the companies, like for example, Apple keeps coming up with new versions of its products. Like you have an iPhone Pro Max and 15, and then maybe 16, 17, and so on and so forth. So it's not that the previous product is obsolete. It's not that the previous product is defunct. It's only that they keep reinventing themselves so that, because in any case, competition would do it. So it's better that you kill your own profitable business and come up with something new before somebody else does it. So that is the idea behind creative destruction. Then marketing myopia it's a very powerful concept. And Theodore Levitt initially spoke about the railway network in the United States, and he gave the example of how the airline business made railway networks in the US defunct. But then we've seen it happening that typewriters are out, then handheld mobile phones are out. There's so many innovations coming in, and the old product goes away. But that's not what marketing myopia is about. Marketing myopia refers to where companies become organization companies, even a university for that matter, they become too obsessed with their success and they're too focused on their products and services. They forget which business they are in. So I'll give you an example. For example, if a company is it is into the business of airlines like Kenya Airways or Indian Airlines, so they're not basically in the business of air travel. Basically, they are in the business of transportation. So a company like Airtel or any telecom company in Kenya, for example, they're not in the business of telecommunications. They are basically in the business of communication. So people want communication. It's not about the specific technology. So these are the three concepts I wanted to share with everyone here. So based on these three theories, this is the conceptual framework that we have proposed, and we are in the process of data collection. So we are looking at a total of 5 constructs, and we have agile leadership leading to organization learning from failures. So organization learning from failures is a standard construct. It has its own standard measurement. We are still trying to look for a measurement for agile leadership. There are many questionnaires available, but we're trying to look at something that is more relevant. So we're yet to finalize it's still in a pilot study stage. Then you have organizational agility, which is a mediator between agile leadership and organization learning from failures. And then you have institutional practices leading to organization learning, where innovation culture plays as a mediator between these two variables. So this is the conceptualization of the agile leadership construct, where you're looking at agile leadership as a leadership that is flexible, it adapts, it is adaptable in nature, right? And in the context of the study, which is startups, so if you have a startup and you have somebody heading the startup with an old school of thought, then it's very difficult for you to succeed. So the very nature of a technology-based startup is that they need to keep reinventing. For example, already we are seeing AI displacing so many jobs. And India, for example, you would all know that India is a hub for software development. It's a information technology hub globally. We have the research and development centers for almost all the biggest companies in India. But despite all of this, these companies, tech startups and mature technology companies are struggling. So there's a specific issue, and that is why leadership is very, very important. And this matches with the theme of your conference as well. And organizational agility, larger companies, larger organizations, private sector or public sector, by their very nature, because they're very big, they're behemoth, it's very difficult for them to adapt. I remember when I was in Kenya in 2012, Kenya Airways used to be a very profitable airline. And they had some wonderful services, a very good network of destinations. But over the years, I think they could not reinvent themselves. And Kenya Airways, from being a very promising airline in Africa, they started making losses, which was very similar to what happened to Air India. And Air India recently it was privatized. So organization agility is very, very important. That is why this construct is here. Institutional practices, it talks about how the organization behaves, and there is a measurement from Lawrence 1999. You'll see the last bit here. So Lawrence 99 is the scale that we'll be using. Then innovation culture. So a startup without an innovation culture is doomed to fail. So there is a construct. This construct can be measured through the scale that was developed in 2015. You'll see USLU 2015 is the standard scale that we'll be taking to measure innovation culture. This is the dependent or the outcome, final outcome variable, organization learning from failures. It's a very powerful construct. And we'll be measuring this by using the measurement, the standard inventory of Carmelli and Schaefer 2008. So OLF, as we call it, is a very powerful construct. And so we're still in the data collection stage, and we'll be able to present the findings. In fact, we'll be publishing it very soon. We'll share the findings when they're available. So these are the 4 hypotheses that we have framed. And these all you can see that a total 4, and they're all positive. We believe that they will positively influence each other. So there's no negative or a neutral relationship. They're all directional hypotheses leading to OLF. So that is what I had to present. And I'll be happy to take any questions from the audience.
Thank you so much for the presentation.
Thank you, Professor.
Agile leaders, business failures and successes and all that. Actually, was fantastic. Let's have the next presenter.
Okay, so before you call the next presenter, I just have an offer that if anybody from Kenya would like to collaborate with us, then they are welcome, and they can share data from the Kenyan context, and we can do a comparative study between India and Kenya. So that is one offer I needed to make on this platform. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So the next presenter is Madam Magdalene Mwai on climate change mitigations in in universities. So Magdalene, the floor is yours.
Hello everyone, my name is Magdalene, and the paper strategies to mitigation of climate change in University of Kenya. The author is so the first
morning, my name is Margaret. And my presentation is Nairobi. We have many universities, so let us have them, and we advised on some of the strategies they were using. Looking through what we have been doing. So in recent years, this discourse surrounding climate change has with growing profound implications for the planet and human civilization as institutions that shape future leaders and decision makers have a critical role in addressing this global challenge. Recognizing the responsibility many universities have taken active steps to mitigate climate change and foster sustainability within their campuses and broader communities. This introduction aims to provide an overview of climatic change, mitigation efforts within the university, strategies employed, and the broader impact of these initiatives. What is the purpose of the study? To find out the strategies adopted by the universities to mitigate climate change. What are these climatic changes? Strategies have been used majorly broadly. One is renewable energy adoption. The other one is green building design. Another one is waste reduction and recycling. Another one is research and innovation. Curriculum integration. So we'll be looking at this, our variables, in this basis of what exactly has been happening in the universities and the strategies they have been employing. So what is our research methodology? This was purely research was done and data was assessed and analyzed. The methodology employed in the study involves an extensive review of existing research review. So from Google, the researchers systematically examined scholarly articles, books, reports, and other relevant sources to identify key themes and trends related to climatic change mitigation strategies in the university context. So first and foremost, we can start with where we are now, our host for this conference, which is Management University of Africa. What strategies has Management University implemented in regards to climatic change mitigation? So the first one, in the university premises, we have over 1,000 trees. And then we engage in farming activities within the premise, whatever you will see later. Moore has strategically placed stickers with energy saving messages near switches. Has a borehole that is fully run by solar energy and provision of waste segregation bins within the university. Also, we have implemented collaboration with NEMA and East African campuses and colleges network. But we are saying, yes. So EACCN is a platform for students and youths from all over East Africa to collaborate in ending climatic change. The other institution we have collaborated with is NEMA, National Environmental Management. The university also has a borehole and streetlight that's powered by solar panels. Management University also has an environmental plan that students engage in the environmental conservation activities, like watering trees within the university, and also the recycling materials like water bottles. The university has also shifted to using online systems for its activities like online distance learning, online examinations, and others to reduce the amount of papers being used. The university has also an innovation hub in the main campus where we are encouraging research innovation. So it's only logical for me to start with presenting from where we are. So what you're looking at right now is one of the collaboration we have with NEMA. And here you can see our leaders, the VC or DVC, and the NEMA leader in Kajiado. So where the main campus is situated in MUA, it's in Kajiado, Kajiado location. Yes, let me use Kajiado location. And after the activity, we also had to make sure that we're raising awareness about climate change and taking care of the environment. That's why you're seeing a picture of KTN News where we were shouting about what we're doing. Another collaboration that we're talking about is a EACCN, where it's a group of so many campuses and colleges coming together to sensitize and to practice these strategies. What you're looking at right now is our farm within the 80 acres. So you can see some nice corn there. On the top, bottom right, that is onion plantation. And we have been practicing this for some time. Also, what you're looking at is Kitengela city cleanup activations. Actually, these activations happen in all our branches. So this is the nearest that is near the main campus. So what we do, engage with the community, we sensitize on environmental and climatic, environmental safety of the environment, that is, by cleaning up, by ensuring the community also adheres to the mitigation strategy that we employ. Then we go to the next university that we had a look at. So in Strathmore, they have a photovoltaic grid tie system, whereby the university set up its own 600 kilowatt grid tie system about 5 years ago, and it's only enjoying free energy from the sun, but also selling excess to Kenya Power at 20 years of contract. Also, so this is how the project looks like. You can have a look at it. So they are also even offering courses as one of the strategies of climate change. So the next one that you're looking at is Strathmore, whereby students came up and using waste recycled and created a boat. That is what you're looking at. Using water bottles. The next university we're looking at is USIU African. It drives to the energy efficient and practice sustainable activities. The most remarkable project I found is a new building that has incorporated environmental friendly features such as solar panels, energy saving lights, natural ventilation system, and other grids. So it's a good project to look at as you look at strategies to mitigate climate change. So this is the building we're talking about. It's called School of Humanities and Sciences. So another university, we are looking at another university that has successfully completed a pilot solar module plan at the main campus. The project is intended to produce electricity energy to the university, as well being a training center. You see the plant below. It's a pilot project at this point. So it's already launched, and they have even told us how much it costed. Yes. So what is the impact of climate change mitigation? We can look at it in the aspects of environmental impact, social impact, and economic impact. So when you're talking about environmental impact, by reducing greenhouse emissions, conserving natural resources, and promoting sustainable practices, universities contribute to mitigating the impact of climate change on ecosystems, biodiversity, and vulnerable communities. In social responsibility, we are saying that universities fulfill their social responsibility by demonstrating leadership in sustainability, fostering environmental stewardship among students and staff, setting out an example for other institutions and a society at large. So when you're talking about economic opportunities, we are saying that investing in climate change missions can generate cost saving through energy efficiency improvement, create new job opportunities in the green industries, and stimulate innovation and entrepreneurship in green technology. So what are the knowledge gaps? So here are knowledge gaps that we identified. These are the limited studies on climate change, especially in what universities have done. So the another one is the limited training to students and staff on climate change. We are also seeing there's a gap where there is staff in universities. They are not exposed or trained on how to go about, especially in the implementation strategies. We also have few implemented strategies. I think most of these come to the cost factor because some of strategies to be implemented are they are of high cost. Let me say that. And also, what is not very clear when you look at this policy and institutional framework, covering the strategies or the climate change. Another one is another gap is engagement and collaboration with stakeholders. So, what is my conclusion? Universities play a critical role in climate change mitigation through their commitment to sustainability, research, excellence, and education, and community engagement. By harnessing these collective expertise and resources, universities can analyze transformative change towards a more sustainable and resilient future for generations to come. So what are my recommendations? Universities should conduct more studies on climate change. Another one is training should be given to students and staff on ways to mitigate change. And the third one, which is also a very core, is mitigating inhibitors of effective implementation of climate change. For example, the cost factor that can be met through collaborations and funding. We find that these universities, they are willing to exercise the strategy, but because of the cost, we are limited. So I'll finish up with Arnold's quote on green movement. The green movement says that the future is green energy, sustainability, and renewable energy. Thank you.
So for those who are logged in, we have said we are going for a heraldic break, 20 minutes. So during the heraldic break, you can prepare your questions for the presenter so that when we come in the next session, we shall be able to interact with the presenters and get clarifications on what has been said so far. We have just very few activities in the next session, which will mark the end of our week-long activities. Thank you so much. Have herald the break. Beautiful. Can you? Yeah. Hi, Tata.
think this is okay now. So sorry, I was not live. I guess now I'm live. So I was trying to say that these are the resolutions of the 2-day 10th MUA International Management and Leadership Conference, a conference that brought together government policymakers, industry experts, and academia. Now, some of the keynote speakers in the conference included Professor Washington Okeo, Dr. John Cheluget, the DVC here at MUA, FCS Kinuthia Mwangi, Dr. Edward Odundo, Professor Tosh Tachino from Japan, Professor Mikhail Marinov, also from Japan, Professor Kazuya Asakawa from Japan, Professor Zain Richie from Japan, Professor Jyoti Satpathy from India, Dr. Joanne Roll from the US, Professor Tobin Lassen, among others. The conference resolutions, we hope, if implemented, will lead to good management and leadership practices in the country and the world. So resolution number 1, Kenya and indeed Africa needs effective leadership in order to be innovative and solve societal problems sustainably. The emphasis is that leadership and innovation are closely intertwined and leads to sustainable development. Resolution number 2, the conference resolved that there is need for emphasis in all sectors in the country on the economy, equality, and the environment in order to have sustainable development in Kenya. Resolution number 3, there is need to understand the value addition process in manufacturing. A country should endeavor to focus on the sections of the value chain that leads to high returns. This concept is applicable in both the manufacturing and agro-processing farms. The emphasis on value addition has the promise of creating high returns to the country. Resolution number 4, Africa, and in particular Kenya, needs to focus on food security through appropriate leadership, innovation, and right sustainable agricultural practices. There should be an intentional drive towards sufficiency in food production through value addition in the traditional crops such as cassava, millet, sorghum, and the rest. Resolution number 5, there should be focus on ethical business practices across all the organizational sectors in Kenya. This should be enforced in order to achieve sustainable business practices with an emphasis on the triple bottom line benefits, i.e. financial, social, and environmental benefits. Resolution number 6, graduates require communication skills, adaptability skills, and teamwork skills. Problem-solving skills are highly valued by employers. The importance of industrial attachment was also emphasized, and facilitators should include a variety of modes of delivery to ensure acquisition of employability skills. Thus, the need to make education curriculums at all levels more practical. Resolution number 7, communication channels contribute 61% of the performance, and the most preferred channel of communication is the face-to-face. Hence, the conference resolved that there's need for managers to embrace the use of ICT, as well as constantly train the project team on communication and communication channels. Resolution number 8, insurance companies should be very keen on compliance on the regulatory framework. The conference resolved that employees should be frequently trained to ensure regulatory compliance. Risk management strategies need to be developed and adhered to. Resolution number 9, educators need to consider the importance of acknowledging and understanding the role of personality traits in academic performance, providing valuable information for enhanced curriculum development and support system. And finally, resolution number 9, leaders, managers, and professionals in all spheres need to embrace the role of neurosystem in practices, hence the concept of neuro leadership and neural management. It is in that regard that MUA is at advanced stages in initiating a neuro center that will steer research and training at all levels in neuroscience. Thank you very much. And I hope that we'll be able to push forward as a university with the various organs, all these conference resolutions. Back to you, Chair. Yes, I think let me add that these resolutions will be sent to all the conference participants. So if you're a participant in this conference, you'll be able to have a copy of our resolutions once they've been okayed by the Vice Chancellor and other organs of the university, so that then it becomes a unanimous resolution for the conference. So each of you, so long as we have your emails, you'll be able to get these resolutions. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Prof, for the good recap. I think at this point, now that you have heard the recap, let's have the questions that we have so that we can interact with the presenters so that we can finalize. If you are not able to ask, you can also put it on the wall through a chat. Maybe I can appoint one person to take us through in the questions. And I would request Madam Dr. Kathura to take us through this brief question and answer session. Meanwhile, those who are logged in, please put your questions on the chat so that we can have a comprehensive question and answer. I was jammed. Okay. Okay. At what point now?
Within a month.
Within a month. Okay.
But the issue
for attendance also.
Yes.
Yes.
That their journals, their papers will be published on Thursday.
Okay. Sorry, I'm being reminded that we have already gotten the resolution, and normally after resolution we don't have questions. But you can still contact the paper presenters for any clarification. You are not barred from asking for clarification. Then, all those who have presented their papers, you are requested to send your full papers for publication. The university will take the responsibility of publishing at a small charge, I believe, which you will be told when you present the full paper. The other issue is all those who have presented papers, you will get certificate of paper presentation, and those who have attended, I'm told you'll get certificate of attendance, and that will be within 1 month from today. I think those are the few announcements that we have. So I would like to go to the next step, which is the preliminaries towards closing the conference. Let me see the I can hear Professor Jota has something. Please, very briefly.
I invite all these faculty from both the worlds, that is from Japan and also from Kenya, and also tell your contemporaries and other universities and colleges. If you can give me your papers by 31st of March, please be assured that on the 31st of March, it will be published. The benefit is that you will get an international paper published in your name in India, and the benefit for us is that we will get a foreign author. So it's a win-win situation for both of us. There is no limit on the number of pages. You can send it to me on my email in MS Word form. Please don't send it to PDF, it's difficult to read. And there is no limitation on the number of papers, number of authors and co-authors. And the final point is, absolutely, there is no processing charge. In an international journal, if you publish, we pay for our name. They said this publication is free of charge, but they ask for APC, article processing charge. So it's free of cost. Any unlimited number of papers you can commit it to me. You have my visiting cards. Students, you also can care of your students, friends, or your teacher friends, and you can also submit a joint paper. There were a couple of papers in which teacher and students have joined in service there. So open up, write any topic pertaining to management, and it will be published. These are my assurance on this note of the house. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof. And at this point, I request our DVC, Dr. John Cheluget, to give a brief remarks and help us in closing the conference. Dr. Ali, please.
Thank you very much, Professor Gidai. Thank you very much, all the MCs. Yesterday, I think we had Professor Awor. Today we had Professor Gidai. And thank you very much, all the presenters, starting with our international participants who did not only join virtually, but most of them actually came physically to Nairobi, Kenya, specifically South Sea. I think we had about 15 international participants who came physically for this particular conference. Thank you very much also all the local participants, students from different universities who did present, students from Management University of Africa who also did present their work and participated in one way or another to make this particular conference a success. Indeed, I want also to thank the university management team, which was responsible for organizing for this particular conference, for making it a success. It has been very many days planning for this conference, linking up with our various partners locally and internationally. But as a university, we are very happy because at the end of it, we have had a successful conference according to our assessment, and we have managed to come up with the various resolutions which have been mentioned and read to us this morning by Professor Awor. So indeed, I want to also recognize also the presence of our Vice Chancellor, Professor Washington Okeo, who is locked in with us also this morning as we come to the end of this particular conference. Indeed, we have received overwhelming support from him. And at this juncture, as we close this particular conference, it is my humble time now to invite him to give us his words of encouragement as we soldier on. Thank you very much. Welcome our Vice Chancellor, Professor Washington Okeo.
Thank you very much, Dr. Cheluget, the DVC. I'm happy that this particular hour has reached eventually. The Kiswahili saying which goes hayawi hayawi mwishowe huwa, na kilicho na mwanzo hakikosi kuwa na mwisho. We can agree that that has been observed, it has taken place. And let me first of all say good morning to everybody who is listening. From the reports that I get, the conference has been a big success since we started yesterday during the opening ceremony, and all the discussions, the presentations, and deliberations of yesterday. Indeed, until today, until now, we are reaching the closing ceremony. I have had very, very detailed and comprehensive briefings about the conference regarding the presentations from various speakers. And I've spoken to some of those speakers themselves. Our keynote speakers, I've spoken to some of them. And they are very, very happy, and that the whole conference, took place the way it did. And now they're looking forward to how the output from the conference is going to be implemented for the benefit of the university, for the benefit of the various stakeholders, and in particular our students who themselves are supposed to be the major beneficiaries of these conferences, and also to our staff who are also an important stakeholder in this. So in brief, I want to thank all the people who are engaged and involved in this particular event. Starting from the planning stage, the committee, the conference planning committee, that was chaired by our DVC, Dr. Cheluget. I think you have done a very wonderful job. It's never easy to plan an event. And secondly, you can always plan an event, but at the end of the day, if nobody turns up to your event, then it, excuse me, it would still be a big failure. So attendance and participation is very, very important. And to that end, I want to thank the committee for the good job that they have done. They invited people, followed up, people sent their abstracts and their presentations, and they managed to plan the whole conference very, very effectively based on the reports that I have got. That is a very, very commended job indeed. Secondly, I want to greatly appreciate and thank our participants. In particular, I want to thank the international participants, our colleagues and partners in Japan, who came in big numbers to come and support us in their conference. And I think it is a reciprocal arrangement that we have developed and established with our Japanese counterparts and partners and friends. We were there last year. They really treated us very, very well. We attended a number of conferences there, courtesy of their arrangement, and also visited other organizations. So in reciprocation, therefore, we have welcomed them to Kenya, and indeed they have had their tours in the country. They came to Mombasa, where I am at the moment, and we interacted with them, and they went all over, different parts of the country, which is a very good learning process, for them, so that they can be able to compare the two cultures. And in particular, the research project, which Professor Marinov is doing is going to be very, very instrumental in cementing the relationship between our university and his university and Kenya and Japan. And so it was a good opportunity for them to come and share with us. And I believe we have benefited a lot from their sharing, from their ways of presentation, from their ways of thinking that we are going to use to improve and enrich the way we present ourselves. Thirdly, I want to thank the entire staff of the Management University of Africa for the dedication, the time, and the input and the efforts that you have put in all this process that has made it a success that it is. And our rapporteur, the Professor War, and the other people who participated in excuse me, and the other people who participated in one way or other, I would really want to extend the olive branch for you. I'm not forgetting the other international participants, Professor Satpathy, Professor Tobin, Professor Joanne, Dr. Amit, and others. We appreciate you all, and we really welcome you to continue attending our conferences where you find time and resources are available, health allows, then you can always attend physically so that you can enjoy the beautiful different scenery that we have and the opportunities that we have in this country as Kenya. So with that, I think we've come to the end. And the only message that I can pass now that we have come to the end, is that we have come up with resolutions from the conference. And those resolutions need to be used to improve the future conferences. They also need to be used to improve by way of implementing those resolutions so that we can offer solutions to societal problems. Because research itself is of no use or of very little use if we just do research and we don't link them to how we can generate solutions to solve societal problems and then implement the results that we get from the research. So the next step is even more important. What we have done is the easier part of it. So the next step of implementing the resolutions is the most important because that is where the rubber meets the road. So I want to challenge the various presenters, the various research people, the various researchers rather, and other people who are engaged in all this to ensure that we implement the resolutions so that we can use them to offer benefits and solutions to the society. Thank you very much, everybody. And as you travel, those who travel from outside, overseas, different parts of the country, and others, I just want to wish you well, and we welcome you again to the next time that we shall have the conference. Thank you, and bye-bye.
The conference is now officially closed by our Vice Chancellor. Thank you until we meet next time.
Quasi 10 minuten.